Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today we will be doing a book unhaul. So I thought since it is the end of the year, why not go through my books and get rid of the ones that I might not be interested anymore, or I can't see myself reading anymore, or I just look at and there is literally just no way I think I'll ever read it. Some of these books I've had for years, and I know off the top of my head I can think of at least 3 that I own that I know in my head and in my heart that I will truly never read. It's just not my reading taste anymore. It doesn't intrigue me, etc. So today we're going to go through my shelves and do a little unhaul, which I think probably fantasy will have the most books that I unhaul, just because I haven't been deep into fantasy in probably 2 or 3 years. I still read a little bit, but when I first started getting back into reading 5 years ago, I want to say, maybe 6, fantasy was all I read. So I have a ton of fantasy books from that I now, since I don't read fantasy as much, I can't see myself getting into as much. There are still quite a few that I do want to read, I know that. So it's going to be hard, but I do need to clear some room off my shelves. I think it makes sense for me to do an unhaul because in my eyes, these are books that I've had for years that I have not read, and I no longer have interest in reading. So why would I not go ahead and either, a lot of them I'm probably going to drop them off in free little libraries or drop them off at half price books. So that way I'm giving someone else basically the opportunity to read it. I don't want to not gatekeep, but I feel like I'm giving someone else the opportunity to read these. And someone who might read them a lot quicker than I will. Or it might spark someone's interest. You just never know. So without further ado, we are going to pick some books to unhaul. Okay, so we are going to go through all the books that I picked to unhaul now. And I will try to give a reasoning, but I think it's going to get really repetitive, so bear with me. I will say I do feel very guilty getting rid of these, and that was not what I was expecting to feel, but they'll be going back out to the public, and someone who wants to read them will snag them. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I am getting rid of a couple thrillers. So I have One Night Gone by Tara Lewowski. I've heard really mixed reviews on this, and when I read the back, it doesn't make me want to read it. I already don't read thrillers too often, so I feel like the chances of me reading this, especially within the next year or 2, are very slim. And I'm trying to keep books on my shelves that I want to read, and that if I don't read soon, I will read within 1 to 2 years. So unfortunately, this one does have to go. The next one that I'm getting rid of is When I Was You. Oh my god, why did I say it like that? When I Was You by Minka Kent. Once again, I've heard really mixed reviews. I know somebody who rated this a 5, but I also know somebody who rated this a 2. And if we're just going based on my urge to read thrillers, which is already slim, I know I have so many other thriller books that I would probably pick over this if I'm going to pick a thriller, so it just does not make sense for me to keep this anymore. Another one that I am getting rid of, which I think is the last thriller, I want to say. I'm looking at the book. I want to say it's the last thriller. It's The Liar's Diary by Patrick Francis. I did buy this from a library sale that my local library was having, and that was probably 5 years ago, and I've yet to touch this. I don't think I've even really looked at this, so I think it is just time for it to go. I will be probably donating this one to a free little library just because it does still have like the library tag on the back. But I promise I did buy this. It was a library sale. They don't take off the things. So this is the next one to go. And now that I'm like looking at the book stack, I thought fantasy was going to be the one that I unhaul the most of. But I think there's only really one fantasy book. It also could be because I have a lot of my fantasy books packed up downstairs, so I don't really see them all. And I think when I packed those up, I made sure to keep the ones that I was really interested in reading up here. So that makes sense on why, but I still thought there was going to be more. I'm only getting rid of one. It is Star Daughter by, I'm going to butcher the Shvet Thakkar. I haven't heard the best reviews about this, and it is just something that does not interest me anymore. I don't think there's even like a hint of romance in it. I read the little inside sheet, and it doesn't sound like there's even a subplot of it, so I think my interest in it is not there. I will say this is gorgeous, and I love the purple sprayed edges on it, which almost makes me want to keep it because of that. But someone else will get to enjoy this pretty cover. It is also signed. So I would rather give it to someone who's going to enjoy it and love it than keep it on my shelf where I know it's never going to get any love. It is also, I believe, a like YA one. So we're just getting further and further away from what I typically read. The next book that I am getting rid of, which I think had decent reviews. Let me look it up. This one does have like decent reviews, but I don't see myself reading it. It has been on my shelf for 4 or 5 years, I want to say. And it's You're the One That I Want by Giovanna Fletcher. And I love this cover so much, and the cover makes me want to keep it. And I think the cover is the reason why I bought it, to be honest. However, it is a love triangle. And it starts off by talking about how she's walking down the aisle, and at the end of the aisle is Rob, who is the man she's about to marry. But next to Rob is Ben, which is the best man, Rob's best friend. But she also likes him. And that automatically makes me not want to read it. If you're at the altar with someone and you actually like their best friend too, like, no, I cannot. So I will be unhauling this one. The next one that I haven't heard the greatest reviews on was The Summer Job by Lizzie Dent. I think I originally picked this out because of the cover. I like the wine glass. And I know it has to do with like working at a winery, I would say. But just from how the like main character's portrayed in this, and I believe this is angled more towards YA. I could be wrong on that. But it just no longer interests me, and therefore it must go. The next book that I am getting rid of is Truth or Tequila by Donna Schwartz. I honestly think I picked this out solely for the name. Just kind of funny, but I haven't heard great reviews about this, and I don't know, it just doesn't call to me anymore. I probably haven't glanced at this book in a couple of years. There is just nothing making me want to read this. I do know this is, I believe, a baseball romance. Yeah, baseball romance. And they play like a drinking game to like get to know each other better, or like with her friends or something. And then the next day she goes to work and she finds out her like new client is him. It sounds okay, but I don't know what it is. Nothing is making me want to read this. So I want to pass it along. I'm actually getting rid of quite a few books, and I wasn't sure how this was gonna go, but seems like this is going all right. And I do feel better like unloading stuff that I don't think I'll read. Just be nice to me in the comments. I'm sorry. Someone will love these, just not me. The next book I am unhauling is Made of Dishonor by Gracie Ruth Mitchell. This is a closed door romance, and it's another one that I've had on my shelf for multiple years, and I just don't ever see myself reading it, or I don't feel like a pull to read it. So with that being said, I do have to unhaul it. I do know. This is another baseball like romance too, but he coaches baseball, I believe. And I don't know, I just no interest, so she gotta go. I still have quite a few more books to go. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 more books. Oh my god. This is way more. The next book I'm getting rid of, which will probably be the one that I get like a lot of flack over, is Ache by S.M. Soto. I think this cover got redone, and I'd rather have the other cover if I decide to read it, but it is a second chance romance, and we know how I feel about second chance romances. Not my favorite at all. I also remember reading the back, and I was on the edge of the fence back when I first got it if I was actually going to read this. But I think I had read another book by S.M. Soto that I really liked. But this one just does not... It does not speak to me. And it's, of course, like he messed up something, and then it's his first love, and he decides he wants her back and he'll do anything. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you like second chance romances. I have just found very few that I like. So, unhaul. Okay, we are going to get rid of 4 in one go. So I have, oh my gosh, if I can find, I don't remember what order this goes in, but I think it's Lover, Committed, Husband, Wife. So this is a series, and it is all written by Penelope Skye. And the series really caught my eye when it first started coming out, but I didn't read it when it first came out, and now I think it is like 16 books deep. There are 10 books in the series, and I've yet to read one, so remember how I was like, I don't know what order this goes in? They're literally on the side, and I read it completely wrong. So it goes wife, husband, committed, or wife, husband, lover, committed. But I've yet to read a single one, and I know it's basically they get together and then they fall apart and then they get together again. But then I think it switches. I think on book 5 it switches to a different couple. So some are interconnected and some are like companion novels. I don't know. But all I know is I will not be reading it. Maybe one day in the future, and that's fine. I can always rebuy them if I ever get the urge to want to read them again. But for now, they will go to someone else who will enjoy them. The next book, which I believe did not have the best reviews, was Ghosting a Love Story. It's by Tosh Skilton. Another book that I bought years ago, and I have not picked up one since then. I remember seeing a couple of reviews and I was like, oh, never mind. I don't really want to read this anymore. And yeah, so just know, I will say that the ghosting refers to that they're both ghostwriters. They don't ghost anyone. I still have never had an urge though to pick this up, and I just don't think I ever will. Then I have Romantically Challenged by Marina Adar. I remember hearing mixed reviews on this, and I think this might have been gifted to me. It was either gifted to me or maybe I picked it out of a free little library. Either way, I just have no interest really in reading it. Like, it just, I don't know. And I think I thought this was going to be a romance, but I think it's more about like finding love within yourself and your family and friends rather than an actual like romance, which is fine. And I have a couple of those on my shelves, but I don't think that I will read this if I continue to keep it on my shelf. So, gotta go. And then I have Love and Loathing, and then Driving Miss Darcy, which these are an Austen-inspired romantic comedy. They're both by Gigi Bloom, and they're both in a series together. This is book 1, and this is book 3. I don't have book 2, so I don't know what happened there. If I already got rid of book 2, maybe, or what. I'm sure I'll like find it later and be like, oh, okay. This one didn't have the greatest reviews, but people really like this one and the second one in the series. I just don't see myself reading it. I got a little tired of reading like Austen-inspired romances there for a while. So I kind of lost my urge to want to read them. If I ever want to read them in the future, I can rebuy them or buy them on like Kindle Unlimited and stuff like that. So these gotta go. Next one I'm getting rid of because I did not hear good reviews about this, and I think it was kind of like controversial. I don't really remember exactly, but it is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Cho. I do really like the cover. I love the like little foiling. But another book I've had for years, and I just don't think I'll ever get around to actually reading it. So I think it's better off going to somebody who will. So free little library or half price books, one of them will get this. And then the last book that I will be unhauling is Always Never Yours by, is this written by 2 people? It is written by 2 people, so it's Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Boca. I just realized these are the 2 that wrote The Roughest Draft and Do I Know You? A YA book, and I do know a couple people who really loved it, but I think it is Shakespeare inspired, I want to say, or Shakespeare's in it. But it is also another one that I've had for years, and with it being YA, I think I just really won't read it. So I am going to unhaul it. So here is my unhaul little pile. We actually got rid of quite a few books. We got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We got rid of 19 books off of my shelf, which I will say is pretty good considering I have hundreds of books, so we'll take it. Are there any books in this that I shouldn't unhaul? Are there any that you've seen that you actually loved? Do any of you do unhauls or clear out your bookshelves every now and then? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.